Remember when making friends was effortless? When you just sit next to someone in class, share a laugh over something small, and suddenly it felt like you had found your person for life. There was a magic to those days, a simplicity and connection that seemed to come naturally, almost without thought. You didn't worry about whether you were saying the right thing, whether your conversation was interesting enough, or whether you were worthy of someone's time. Friendship was spontaneous, easy, and abundant, but somewhere along the path to adulthood, that ease seemed to slip away. By the time we reach 25 and beyond, the same effortless connections start to feel elusive, rare, and strangely complicated. You meet people, of course, in work environments, social circles, and online communities, but the depth that once came so easily now demands intention, vulnerability, and emotional energy that feels scarce. It is not merely a change in circumstance, it is a shift in the very way our minds, hearts, and lives navigate social bonds. Psychology sheds light on why friendship, once simple, grows difficult with age, revealing that what feels like personal failure is often the natural evolution of human connection. In our childhoods and teenage years, making friends was almost a byproduct of daily life. The school corridors, playgrounds, and extracurricular activities were fertile grounds for bonding, offering constant proximity and shared experiences that naturally drew people together. Children and teens are wired for openness, curiosity, and emotional expressiveness. Our brains are attuned to forming connections quickly. A smile, shared secret, or moment of laughter could forge an attachment that felt enduring. Trust was implicit, and emotional vulnerability came without much calculation. There was no shortage of opportunity, and our schedules allowed for spontaneity. Even conflicts and misunderstandings were temporary and quickly forgiven because the rhythms of school and social routines created the conditions for repeated interactions and second chances. The landscape of friendship was structured to allow relationships to flourish without deliberate effort. After 25, however, life begins to reorganize itself in ways that naturally deprioritize casual, serendipitous friendship. Work responsibilities increase, careers demand attention, and romantic or familial obligations require a significant portion of emotional bandwidth. Unlike the unstructured freedom of youth, adult schedules are rigid, and opportunities for organic encounters with potential friends diminish. You may work long hours, commute, and dedicate evenings to personal projects or existing relationships, leaving little room for spontaneous coffee meetups or long conversations. Additionally, relocation for jobs, relationships, or life circumstances can interrupt social continuity, making it harder to cultivate bonds that feel stable. Social psychologists often refer to this as the friendship opportunity structure, the set of conditions that makes forming connections possible. As adulthood progresses, these structures shrink, requiring deliberate effort to sustain the same type of closeness that used to arrive naturally. Psychologically, adulthood also brings a change in how we evaluate and invest in relationships. Attachment theory, a framework developed by John Bowlby and expanded in adult psychology, highlights that our early experiences with caregivers shape how we relate to others. Individuals with secure attachment tend to navigate friendships with confidence and openness, while those with anxious or avoidant tendencies may struggle more as life pressures mount. By adulthood, these patterns are magnified. One small misstep or perceived rejection can feel heavier, and the caution we develop over time may prevent us from diving into new friendships as freely as we once did. The emotional risk of potential rejection, coupled with the limited time to recover from social disappointments, makes adults more selective and guarded in their connections. Social investment theory provides another lens. As people age, they naturally allocate their time and emotional resources toward areas perceived as most valuable: career development, romantic partnerships, and family responsibilities. Friendships that once required minimal effort now compete for attention against these priorities. Unlike adolescence, when peer approval and social engagement are central to identity formation, adult life demands a focus on self-sufficiency and long-term goals. The consequence is not a lack of desire for friendship, but a scarcity of the psychological and temporal resources necessary to nurture it. What once was effortless now requires intentionality, negotiation, and vulnerability, qualities that, while deeply rewarding, are also emotionally taxing. The emotional consequences of this shift are subtle yet profound. Many adults feel a quiet loneliness, a soft ache that is not always alleviated by social interactions or professional success. There is a difference between being alone and feeling lonely. Solitude can be peaceful, but loneliness often carries a sense of longing for deep connection that seems increasingly rare. This quiet grief is compounded by the pervasive myth that struggling to make friends as an adult signals personal inadequacy. Social comparison, particularly in the age of social media, reinforces these feelings. Scrolling through feeds of smiling groups, travel adventures, and parties can heighten the sense of exclusion, even if these portrayals are curated and performative. Psychology emphasizes that these perceptions are rarely accurate reflections of others' lives, but the emotional impact is nevertheless real, creating self-doubt and reinforcing social withdrawal. Modern society, paradoxically, both facilitates connection and hinders deep friendship. Digital platforms allow us to maintain broad networks of acquaintances, yet these interactions often lack the depth and emotional reciprocity that characterize true friendship. Messaging apps, social media likes, and group chats can simulate connection while leaving the fundamental need for understanding and intimacy unfulfilled. Mobility and transient lifestyles further complicate matters. People frequently move for work, education, or life changes, fracturing the continuity that once sustained long-term bonds. Consequently, adults may find themselves surrounded by many faces, yet deeply missing the sense of someone who knows them wholly, who understands unspoken thoughts, and who provides consistent emotional support. Despite these challenges, there is a hopeful side. Adult friendship, while harder to form, is often richer and more intentional. Psychological research suggests that quality outweighs quantity. Fewer friendships, carefully nurtured, can provide profound satisfaction. Building these relationships requires deliberate effort, including vulnerability, consistent communication, and shared experiences. Adults may need to embrace discomfort, reach out even when it feels awkward, and allow themselves to be seen fully. Unlike in youth, where proximity dictated connection, adulthood demands conscious cultivation of trust and reciprocity. Yet the rewards, deep companionship, emotional validation, and mutual growth are worth the effort. Practical steps to foster adult friendship include identifying shared values and interests, prioritizing regular engagement over perfection, and embracing small but meaningful gestures of care. Joining communities aligned with personal passions, volunteering, or taking classes provides structured opportunities to meet like-minded individuals. Emotional honesty is equally important. Adults who are willing to express vulnerabilities authentically often attract similarly inclined friends. Finally, reframing expectations helps. Friendship in adulthood is not always effortless or immediate, but it can be profoundly fulfilling when nurtured with patience, empathy, and intention. Returning to the memory of effortless childhood bonds, there is comfort in understanding that the difficulty of adult friendship is not a personal flaw but a reflection of life's evolution. The same mind that once made friends in seconds now evaluates relationships with nuance and caution. The same heart that once trusted easily now protects its emotional energy. Recognizing this shift allows adults to approach social connections with self-compassion, patience, and strategic intention. While spontaneity may be rarer, depth becomes possible in ways that were often inaccessible in youth. Real friends can still be found, but they are discovered through courage, honesty, and the willingness to invest oneself fully. In conclusion, the struggle to make real friends after 25 is a natural byproduct of psychological development, social priorities, and life circumstances. It is the intersection of evolving attachment patterns, limited emotional bandwidth, societal structures, and the demands of modern life. Yet within these challenges lies opportunity, the chance to form friendships that are chosen, deliberate, and deeply resonant. Remembering the ease of youth is not about nostalgia alone. It is a reminder of the innate human capacity for connection. By understanding the psychological underpinnings of friendship, embracing vulnerability, and investing intentionally in relationships, adults can reclaim the richness of human connection. Friendship, though harder to achieve with age, is no less meaningful, and perhaps in its conscious cultivation, it becomes even more precious than the effortless bonds of our younger years.